Welcome, everyone. You know him as the host, the normal host of Fresh Convos, but today he's in the hot seat. And again, his name is Joey Too Fresh. So go ahead, Joey Too Fresh. I'll leave it to you. Tell the people who you are.
Yes, I am Joey Too Fresh. People back in the day used to call me Joe Villa. I'm from DC,
Okay.
and I live in New York now.
Okay.
And and what else?
No, just
Yes,
tell me a little bit about you growing up. Like, what was growing up like for you? Like, where did you said you're from DC, but what was that like?
well, I was actually born in Silver Spring, Maryland,
Oh
but
wow. Okay.
yeah, so like so I was born in Silver Spring, Maryland. So lived in Maryland for a little bit, then moved to DC. Um, DC DC was different back then, way different from
Right.
from now. And we lived in Georgetown, 31st and M Street, and
Mm-hmm.
I just remember like how DC was when actually during like high school and stuff like that. So
In your childhood, like how were you introduced to music? Your earliest recollection of music back when you were a child.
um middle school, I think it was like middle school, early middle school. My friends at school gave me some tapes, like the first EPMD tape and Strictly Business. And I remember listening to that and listening to Paid in Full at the same time. And
Okay.
earlier, yeah. So that's like, you know, during that time, like I was introduced to that, but before, like, I was a break dancer, so listening to a lot of breakdance music, which led to like listening to more hip hop. People like, I remember I remember when Crush Group came out. Yeah, I'm showing my age now. When Crush Group came out, you know what I mean? Right.
When did you first decide that you can also be a rapper? Like you were listening to all this rap music. When did you decide that you can also rap?
Interesting you said that. The Me and my brother, I mean, we started rapping like I guess yeah, during the Duke Ellington days of my brother. He just started like, you know, doing poetry and stuff, and the next thing you know, he's rhyming because he's around a lot of cats who start rapping. And then I was around, so he kind of inspired and made me start rhyming as well. For me, I used to write a lot of poetry and stuff, and then it just got to that, hanging out with a lot of MCs and just getting inspired by that.
Do you remember your first rap or your first poetry piece that you turned into a rap?
No, no, no,
Is that
no,
anything
I
that you could
don't.
recite right now? I would love to
Why
hear
you
it.
asking me that, son? No, just kidding.
All right. What was your first MC name? I mean, did you have like one of those like Joe? Well, actually, your name sounds old school right now. Joey Too Fresh sounds mad old school. But
Yeah,
did
yeah.
you have like did you have an
Um,
old school name?
it was close. It was like JV Fresh.
JV Fresh. Okay. Okay. That sounds pretty fresh. I mean, that sounds like it could work today, actually.
I don't know. I don't know, but yeah, that was short lived.
So, who were you inspired by? You mentioned that you were into the Crush Groove because of your breakdancing day, but when you turned into an MC, who did you pattern yourself after, or who were you influenced by to try to structure your rhymes like them?
Uh, Groups like De La Soul, the Rouge,
Mm.
Tribe Called Quest, the whole native tongue. Yeah, I was inspired by that, but earlier than that, like Karis One, Big Daddy Kane. I love all them cats. So it's just like, you know, inspired me to rhyme. I didn't want to rhyme like them, but like, you know, sort of come off on my own.
Your brother went to Duke Ellington. Based on interviews that you've done with other Amphibians members, I know Duke Ellington was a big piece. So obviously you were connected through your brother to
Hmm.
Duke Ellington. Where did you go to school?
I went to Wilson. I went to Wilson when was in DC, but before that, remember we went overseas. So
Yep.
most of my schooling was either in Madrid, and then my high school was in Rome, and then we went to DC. The thing
Okay.
is that
Well,
I went my last year, my 12th grade year, I had to go to finish school in Wilson, but then I graduated in Rome.
okay. Well,
So
tell me about schooling it overseas. How was that like? What was that experience for you?
schooling overseas was great. It was a great experience. I mean, we were young, so I mean, going to international school, meeting a lot of people from different culture was dope. Um, I think in Madrid, I went to a I went to a British system school, so it was smaller, so not too many kids, but it was cool seeing the kids that went there. You know, in Rome, I went to an American school, and there were a lot of American kids that didn't like being there, which I didn't
Mm.
like that much, but you know, got to meet people outside the school for all different cultures and stuff. It was good. It
Okay.
was great. Great experience.
And um, during this time, when you were back in DC, you became aware of the Freestyle Union. How did you yourself become aware of the Freestyle Union?
Through my brother. My brother started going to Freestyle Union when it was like what, 8 Rock?
Okay.
Yeah. And he introduced me. He was like, "Oh, you should come to this place. They MCing and stuff, you know. Just meet other MCs." Like, okay, let's do it.
And what was your experience at the Freestyle Union? What did you learn there, and who did you meet? Just tell me a little bit
Um,
about that time period.
well, Tony Blackman is great. She taught me to be more confident because
Mm.
I didn't have the confidence before to, like, you know, just rhyme in front of like a circle of people and just freestyling and yeah, no, I loved it. I met a lot of people. Met you, met met you know, met Priest, Sub Z, Kokai, Black Indian, of course, and
Hmm.
all the MCs, all the amazing MCs that were there.
Did you learn from the other MCs that you were in a circle with, in a cipher with?
What did I learn from them?
I said,
Yeah,
did
I
you
learned
learn? I mean,
they were much better than me. That's what I learned. Now I learned that, like, you know, also, I mean, there were MCs. I mean, if people were there, they would see how much talent in DC, in the DMV area, there is. I mean, many talented MCs. Like,
so tell me about those memories that you have of that time period on U Street, and I know you were big on Nyala also. So talk about that time period.
yeah. So U Street was dope. I mean, I can remember a lot of Kapha House.
Mm.
Um, because of Freestyle Union, and of course Live Society, and other stuff that was going on there.
And Kapha House was a coffee shop that did a lot of live
Yes,
events such as poetry readings and open mics and all that. So that's what we're talking about.
definitely. That was definitely the spot. Definitely the spot. Um, Nyala, Nyala was great. I mean, it was sort of our own hub in it. For that case of being like open mic, you know, just different. We had like Zach, HL, well, Slim Cat, HL, or Blue, so many names. Oh my God, Trevor Goodchild, right?
Right.
Doing live beats while we're hosting an open mic, and it was a great experience. And like we met a lot of people, and it was just dope. It was something different that no one else was doing. So.
And you were the host during that time. So how did that come about? How did you become the host at Nyala or hosting those sessions,
I
those
think we
jam
would
sessions?
switch hosts. We would switch hosts. So
Hmm.
I would volunteer the host. So we would
Okay.
switch. It would be me, John, or
Hmm.
Shamir, or like,
Hmm.
you know, different cats, Ghost, you know. So we all took turns hosting. But what I've learned about that is hosting, because I've never hosted before. You know what I mean? So.
And now you're the host of Fresh Convos every Wednesday at 7.
Yes, it just keeps following me. I don't know.
Shameless
Host with the
plug.
most.
All right, let's talk about the recording sessions that you were doing back then with the people that you mentioned that were at the Nyala sessions. So, how did you develop those recording sessions, and who did you work with?
Okay. So me and my brother Philly, we we well, Philly knew Slim Cat, and
Mm,
we started doing music with Slim Cat. We also did music with Blackberry Jones. We did music with Cyrus. We did music with SB Methods, and I mean, it was just around the circle. But we started doing music with Slim Cat first, and Aquarium, and then remember we did 0 Degrees at Randy's house, 1 and
I
2.
do recall. I do recall those sessions.
Yeah, that was dope. Like, so basically 0 Degrees. I think one was with me, Philly, Hibernation, right?
Right,
Then two was with Scorpion, Alien, and Hibernation. It was
right.
dope. It was dope. It's like a big. We just wrote on the spot and did the song there. It was the good times, man.
And how about your own projects? I mean, did you work on any albums or mixtape songs at the time that you were recording with these
Yes,
individuals?
yes. Oh, and I forgot to mention Trevor. Sorry, because I haven't heard from Trevor in a long time. But anyway, um, Trevor Goodchild. Yes. So me and Trevor, while we were in DC, like I started doing music with Trevor. I we did a whole album, right, called Villa Umptuous, and
Mm,
it was stupid. It was just like stupid concepts and stuff, and we recorded in his room. And I just remember I was just like, let's do as many songs as we can and see if we can get an album. And we did. So we had songs like Toe Jam, and it was stupid songs, like, you know, just stupid songs, but it was funny. So started recording with, and Trevor also rhymed with me on that on that whole demo thing. So it was hilarious. It was sort of like a comedy album, sort of like a Prince Paul joint. You know what I mean?
okay, okay.
But yeah, Rubber Ducky, Slim Cat.
All,
we were bugging out. But
all your
yeah, so
favorite
I did
jams.
that, right?
Rubber
Me
Duck
and my
and Toe
brother,
Jam.
we recorded together 13 Ways to Cook Pond Sit. Yeah, that was a lot of Slim Cat beats. But yeah, this was before we started really recording with Slim Cat. So like, you know, yeah. So did that, and then yeah, just recording was dope. I mean, I I miss that. Just like going writing on the spot and just recording and stuff. And that's how we used to do, like, you know.
Okay, well, you've been credited as one of the founders of the Amphibians Collective. So, how did that come about? And are you really the founder of the Amphibians Collective?
No, I'm not the founder. No, I was there. I
Okay.
mean, I, I think, um, yeah, Khalil made the name, right? And we were all there. So, I mean, it was, I can't say that I'm the founder of the Amphbns because, we were, there were like some of us in that room when it happened, and then when it started figuring out like, oh, who's gonna be like, you know, who can we get as the Amphbns, and it just got out of control. So 30 of us, you know what I mean? But it
Right.
made sense. It just made sense. It really made sense. Like people knew, like, you know, just the way we vibe together, the way we do songs together, the way we hang out, freestyle together. It's like crazy. So it just happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah, after your time, I guess, in DC, you also spent some time in New York, where you are at currently. Tell me
Yes.
what made you move to New York, and were you still making music as soon as you moved to New York?
Yes. New York. Well, my brother moved to New York first, and then I moved, and then right after I moved to New York. What made me move there? I guess I was very curious to see what would go on here. But yeah, we were doing music. We were still doing music. Of course, Trevor moved up. We met this kid, Don, that was there, the Indian cat named Don, and we formed the Butterfly Dragons, inspired by my brother. So basically, my brother made this group, and we found a French bass player out of nowhere, and he started jamming with us. So sort of like a group thing, and we did recordings and did a lot of shows here.
Shout out to
Also, you
Leon.
moved up here.
This
Also,
interview is not
you
about
moved.
me. This interview
No,
is about you. So
I'm just remembering that you did move up here during
that's
sort of during that time. You know what I mean? So yeah. So when we were living in Clinton Hills, you know, we got to meet. My brother met so many MCs, underground MCs. It was crazy. Like,
yeah. Let me just lead into that question because your brother was respected by a lot of underground MCs while he was in New York and at the open mic circuit. So tell me about how that came about and what did you learn from your brother?
well, if it wasn't for my brother, we wouldn't have so much music. Well, I wouldn't have so much music. He's the one. He's the pusher. Trevor as well. Just like he was the one that was like, "Yo, let's do a song today. Let's do this. Let's do that." You know, and he kept pushing us to like, you know, create, which was dope. Well, which sort of inspired me. You know, he met so many people because he was emceeing all over the place and just like showing who he is. So that's how like we got to meet like Poison Pen, rest in peace,
Mm.
Pumpkinhead. You know, all these cats who lived in Brooklyn, Jean Grey, all them cats. It's like living there and then seeing this Filipino cat start freestyling. They were just like, wow, amazing cat. And then when I came up, he introduced me to like a lot of people, and then we did the Lifeline up here. We continued the Lifeline. When we did it in DC, then we did it up here. Sort of the same format, but with like Trevor, we had our bass player, we had the DJ, me as the host, and my brother's the host as well. Got to meet more MCs in the New York area, so that was dope. Really
I
dope.
remember coming up to a few of those sessions that you were doing in. I think it was in the meatpacking district at the time when I came up to a few sessions. It was a good jam session.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely. I mean, there were two different places. There was one on West West 25th Street, right next to the Jay-Z Club, I think. It was called Benny
oh,
Cafe, and
okay, yeah,
that was our main place there. But the one
okay.
we went to was
Backstage.
we were collaborating with this other dude who had that spot. So we did the
Okay.
Lifeline there, and that's when we had a keyboardist, and yeah, we had the whole Roots thing going on in New York at one point. Yeah, definitely.
And, and your brother passed away sometime after that. So what do you miss about Philly?
I miss. I mean, I just miss his energy. Like, I think I'd still be recording. I'd still be an MC today if if he was still around. Like, he'll find some way to record somewhere out there. So like, he was always just saying like, he was always talking about the path, right? And the path
Hmm.
is like, doing anything creative in front of you. So he was always like that. He was just like, just follow that. Just don't stop. But which leads me to do other things as well. You know what I mean? So I mean, when I stopped emceeing, started DJing, started
Hmm.
doing photography, other stuff that I was interested in. So
And how did that
yep.
come about? Because that was actually segueing into my next question. How did
My
that?
bad.
No, that's perfectly fine. I like the way that we're in tune. How did that segue into you exploring your passions for photography and DJing?
Okay, so DJing. Well, DJing happened because I used to hang out at this spot called Ripple Bar on Washington Ave, and they had
Okay.
like open DJ nights, and I've always loved sharing music that I like. So that's what really got me into DJing and just like learning and watching people DJ and stuff. I just got inspired just to do it. So just do it because of my love of music. Um, Photography happened because of Rule 4080. Um, I think is that my wife bought me a camera, and then that was it. I I took pictures. She had like her and Brina had like a DJ event somewhere at this clothing store, and that's when I first took pictures. So I took pictures, and when they saw the pictures, they were like, "Oh my God, these are great!" And yeah, that inspired me just to keep going.
So, I mean, your sounds like your wife inspired you, because she's also a DJ. Am I correct?
Yes.
And she assisted you by giving you a camera to explore your photography.
Yes, she was just like, "Oh, look here's the camera." And I just looked at it, and I was just like, "All right." And
I mean, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was thinking like, when I got the camera, because it was before an SLR. The joint was so funny. It's just like, you know, I fell in love with the camera. I was just like, you know, all the functions and stuff, all the black and white and blue pictures that you see was me. But like, you know, during Rule 4080, it was just like, you know, using that camera, that Sony camera, and just making other photographers mad because I didn't have an SLR, but I was still good with this camera. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not really about the type of camera that you have. It's really
Right.
about your
The eye.
photographic eye. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah, definitely.
you can have the
Yeah.
best camera and
So
still take a terrible picture.
I mean, I don't know. A lot of people said I had good eyes, but like, you know, I wear glasses, so.
It's the inner eye, man. It has nothing to do with your physical. All right, but go
But
ahead.
nah, but like, but nah, taking pictures at shows. I would love going to like a lot of shows and taking a lot of pictures and motion and stuff like that. So, I mean, there's sort of an art in that way of like, you know, sort of angles that you catch.
So tell me about some memories that you do recall from that Rule 4080 time period where you were going to a lot of shows and a lot of events. Like, so tell me a couple of memorable photos that you took and, you know, what event that was.
Oh my God, a lot of photos. I don't know where to start, man. I mean, well, first of all, Rule 4080, that's me, Langston, and Seed. And we would go to cover events for our blog. And I would be the cameraman, and of course, Langston and Seed would network and, you know, do all that other stuff. But I remember covering a lot of Roots events. You know, the whole Heineken event. Remember that? The Heineken event with like Mary J. Blige, Bobby Brown. It was a lot of people.
That was a great event. It was a Hennessy artistry event, but I know what you're talking about.
Yes, definitely. And then remember the
Yeah.
Pharrell joint, the Nerd joint.
Yep.
I remember that. The Echo, those Echo parties. I mean, there was so much. I mean, even like we would cover Sutra, you know, for Toka Tuesdays, because there were a lot of people. We met a lot of people: Graham Poover, Eric Sermon, like MC Light. It was just a lot of people. There's a lot of people there, and yeah, a lot of Lyricist Lounge events. We did a lot. We did a lot. I mean, just thinking about it, you know. And our very first event was
So
Dressing
just give me
People.
like, so your top, let's say your top three or top five events or top five photos that you've taken. What would they be?
So top photos. There's one with Jay-Z and T-Pain when Jay-Z was doing the auto-tune song.
Mm-hmm.
That's a perfect picture.
I remember
I
that. That was
have
Summer Jam, I believe 2009, maybe. Okay.
right. I got a photo of Raphael Sadiq at Summer Stage.
Okay.
Let me see what else. There's so many photos. There was that I forgot that show that we saw Dipset, and there were a lot of different people. They're very colorful photos. I remember there's one with Jim Jones on it, and the Locks. So I mean, there were so many dope events. Like I can't like, you know, say which one is my favorite because all of them we just had a good time. I wonder why. Anyway, we had a good time. We had a good time. But like I said, those photos are like I love the photo that I took of Jay-Z and T-Pain, and then there was one of Method Man and Mary J. Mary J. Blige in that same show. So I think that
Mm-hmm.
show, that Hot 97 show was dope.
Summer Jam, yeah. That was actually a great look for the blog itself, Full 4080. That was a great event that we covered to put the blog on the map for sure.
Yeah, man. Dope. Yeah, we
But
took a lot of
after
pictures though.
but after Rule 4080, you started what I call the world tour,
Man, it's not the
where
world. This guy, man.
I call it the world
Okay, let's
tour.
call it Joey Goes Back Home Tour. Because I went to the Philippines.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that was one of many places you went. So tell me a little bit about the places you went. And, were you still doing music, or what was the music scene like there? And what led you to that place? Because I know you went to a lot of places.
Right. Okay, so the Philippines, yeah, I did go to Canada, Chakra. I did go to Canada. I did go to Toronto. I went to Toronto to cover the hip hop festival there. So met like Marco Polo, Fonte, Raekwon, and then some Canadian MCs, and I think Sean Price, the whole boot camp. Of course, we were like the main photographers for boot camp at one point. You know what I mean?
Shout out
But
to the boot camp family, Duck Down as a staff. They were incredible people.
exactly. But we were like, oh, Joe, why does Rule 4080, take some pics? Sean Price will be here, or, okay. So the Philippines, yeah. Well, the Philippines, I did continue music, but not like, I as a DJ. So did my
Okay.
DJ and photography there, which was dope. I first started photography there. Took my camera, went out, started taking pictures, and next thing you know, like they saw my pictures. They're like, "Oh, can you cover this event?" Oh, and met somebody that worked for Nike, Red Bull, and Adidas. So that's how I met like Neil Armstrong. Did a lot of events with him, and then of course there was a time when Ali Shaheed came over and went to the Africa Bambaataa. They DJ'd for like this festival. Got to cover them and then like showed them around, and showed a lot of people around. DJ Spinner, J Rock from the Beat Junkies, all these cats that just came through. It was really dope. But yeah, so I did a lot of photography there. Just expanded to like doing like local bands, rock bands and stuff like that performed, and then took pictures of everything, the whole culture, right? And then I started my DJ thing after, and just DJ'd at a lot of events, and it was good pre-COVID. Pre-COVID, when everyone was going out and stuff like that. But like, yeah, the nightlife there, the music scene was dope. They very talented people. I met a lot of talented people there, from DJing to singers to instrumentalists to beat makers, So yeah.
Okay.
But between then, like, well, I got to go to different parts of the Philippines, like Cebu and stuff like that, and it was very interesting. But my main core of music and photography was in Manila.
Okay.
Yeah, and then
And where
after,
did where'd
what's
you
that?
go after the Philippines? And I'm trying to get you because I know you've lived in like 10 different places since New York. All right, go ahead.
Yes. Okay. So the Philippines, and then I moved to Shenzhen, China,
Mm-hmm.
which was across from Hong Kong for like a year. For no 2 years. Let me say 2 years. Yeah, I was there for 2 years. Um, it's a city, but very boring because they haven't built a culture yet. A new city. Just imagine a brand new city, but no one goes out and does anything. So I just DJ'd once there at this party, but it was really weird. It was really weird. But the thing is that I would go across and go to Hong Kong. There's a lot of things that go on in Hong Kong. Is almost like New York, the Asian New York. So yeah, but between so then after after Shenzhen, luckily we left Shenzhen because COVID happened. We left and then ended up in the UAE, in Abu Dhabi. So that's where my wife is currently, finishing her teaching job there. And the UAE is dope. Let me tell you how dope it is. It's like, definitely, man, let me just say, like desert life is okay, man. Because the diversity there is
I
so
don't know if I could
so
handle 1,000 degrees every day, but okay.
No, but but the parties there were crazy. I don't know. I can't explain it. It's just like midgets and a lot of different people, like gathered together, and it was dope. There were like different parties and stuff. And before COVID, like I was about to get my shine there as a DJ, because meeting like cats like DJ a lot and stuff like that, they were trying to get me on. And of course, it's different. Other than like, oh, can I get on to do this? You have to sign some form, like work release form or something, because it's a job, right? As a DJ, so they were getting me set for that, and then COVID hit, and everything shut down and went to Instagram. But
Well, at the start, okay, go ahead. Sorry.
but yeah, like other countries I've been to. I mean, we've been to Tokyo. Like that's like one of my favorite places is Osaka. And the food, the record stores there is ridiculous. You get broke so fast, but it's just such a dope city. I mean, I love Tokyo. I would always go back. One of my favorite places. And then and of course we went to Vietnam, which Vietnam was pretty dope. I didn't really get to see the music scene there, but it was dope from what I saw. The food was good.
Sounds like you're on a world tour, man. That's why I call it your world tour.
Nah, man. When you're in Asia, right? When you're in Asia, like for example, you're in the Philippines, the flights are cheap, so you just go wherever you can. You know what I mean?
Word.
Yeah, man. So sort of a world tour, but an Asian tour. There you go, Asian tour.
You mentioned your wife is in UAE right now, finishing up for work. You got married 3 years ago, so I just want to ask you, how is married life going for you?
It's great. It's great.
Short and simple.
It's great. I mean, it's different from when we weren't married. I'll just say that. More responsibilities and stuff like that. But
Sounds
she's
accurate.
amazing. She's amazing, very supportive, and yeah, I love it. It's just different.
Has it changed you at all as an
Has it
individual?
changed me as a person?
Yes.
Well, like I said, like more responsibilities and stuff like that. Living with her, and every day. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at the start of this pandemic, you reached out to uh, pretty much everyone that you've interviewed so far. You reached out to us, uh, and a lot of us haven't gotten together definitely over 15 years. So, what was your motivation behind that first Zoom call that you put together, where you invited all the amphibians members?
It was time. Like, it was time. We had to form like Voltron. It was like the bat signal was ready. And I was thinking like, okay, we're stuck. We're home. We're not allowed to go out. You know what I mean?
Right.
What a good time to get the boys together, right? And plus, I mean, I've been thinking a lot. My brother's calling. Joy's calling. It's Claude's calling. Naima is calling. You know what I mean? And it just hits me, and I'm just like, every time I go back to DC or New York, I get us all together, right? So it just makes sense. Sort of like, try to get Voltron together. So, so I had the feeling like, we need to do something because there's a calling for it. There's a lot of interviews from different MCs that said like, yo, the amphibians this, the amphibians that. And why
So
not
what do
put a
you
picture? Why don't we put something there for people to know who the amphibians are?
what do you want to be the response from this gathering that you have? What do you
Well, I
expect that
just
to
want
be?
them to like know the history and sort of our vibe at that time. We want to bring that vibe is endless. Like, it's a legacy for us, for all of us. The music, the way we do music together, and just it just has to happen. I'm just saying, like, what I want people to show, like, and plus it's for DC, DMV area. For like, oh, these cats were there, And it just, like, I had this feeling. So, like, this feeling that, like, just to have, people listen and enjoy what we did, because it's powerful, man. It's very powerful. Yeah.
Okay.
Our contribution to hip hop is powerful. See.
And you were you were interviewed by Monk 39 earlier this year, and that kind of was at the same time as you putting together that Zoom call where you pretty much send out the bat signal to the amphibians. So how did that interview with Monk come about?
It was weird. I saw my boy Deep from Hungry Two Brothers. He was getting interviewed. And so I
Okay.
went up in the IG live joint, and I so happened to come in when they were talking about us. They
Oh
were like,
wow.
oh, we were just talking about you. I was like, what? I was like, what are you talking about? Like, oh, we're talking about the amphibians, because we used to be
That's
down with
divine
the
timing.
life. And
Yep.
just everything came together. And then like Monk hit me up. He's like, yo, I feel like I know you. I'm like,
Mm, that's
word?
deep.
I'm like, all
That's deep
right.
right
So it was funny, like, that interview, yeah, it was like 4 a.m. where I was at. And and I know I said, you know what I'm saying, like 20,000 times. So yeah, that was hilarious. But that's how that came about. Peace to Deep for that joint.
It all comes
Yeah,
together, man.
yeah,
So,
man.
and recently you've been people know you as the host of Fresh Convos, which you've been doing. So, tell me what made you the host? Like, how did you get that job? How did you do that?
Well, I wanted to do something for the amphibian Instagram page, and I wanted to interview. Well, basically, the interview was supposed. Well, yeah, was supposed to be information to lead up for a documentary.
Mm.
So that's why I interviewed all the amphibians in season 1. And
Okay.
I thought, like, when when we were like, oh, what should it be called? I was like, Fresh Convos, fine. So, I mean, there's a lot of us in the group, so it would just make sense for us to start interviewing so people will know, who's part and who's in this joint. But yeah, season 2, it's going to be different. It's going to be a lot of different people outside the crew, but like, considered family as well.
And when can the people anticipate that, and what can they expect out of season 2 that's different from season 1?
Different people, different people than our crew. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Different MCs, like even like different artists, different, you know. Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting, but still in the DMV DC area. Keep
Okay.
that up for season 2. I can't say too much because all is not confirmed yet.
That's fine. And we were talking about the amphibians legacy and the DC legacy, but what is your personal? What do you want to leave as your legacy as an individual?
um, well, my personal legacy is, I just want, I mean, for real, just want the amphibians legacy. That's it. Like my contribution to the amphibian legacy as the amphibians legacy. I just want us to shine, man. Like for real, or get that. Like, I don't care if I don't. Right. I mean, people will see it through like photos and interviews or whatever. But I want to see what we all put together. Shine. Because, like I said, it's very powerful.
That is powerful.
Yeah.
And we're just about to wind this up. So, what is the future for Joey Too Fresh?
The future for Joey Too Fresh, keep traveling, you know, keep be alive. Be alive, be well, continue this legacy, and hopefully pass it on to younger generations who want to be like us, who want to be the next us, Yeah.
And what advice would you give the next generation?
Do it. Just do it, man. That's it. Just do it. Just don't think twice. Just just do it. Just be about it. Be real about it 100%. And like love. That's it. Show love. You get love back, And that's how I think this is gonna that's how our legacy is gonna shine out. Like, once they hear our music and see what we're about. Word.
True, true. So, what is currently on your playlist, sir? What are you currently listening to?
Uh, as far as music wise, I like that new
Yes.
West Side Gun album.
Okay.
Love that West Side Gun album. A lot of Alchemist beats. I mean, I got a lot of old school stuff too. Like, just
Yeah, I just
not
wanted to know what you were
using.
currently listening to.
But
Do you
currently,
listen?
yes. What did you say?
No, do you also listen to any like DC hip hop or DMV rappers? Because I know
Yeah,
MP.
I check out DC rappers and stuff. Like I like a lot of Tim stuff. The Cornell West Area album's very dope. Um, I like Kokai. I like um, I like Odyssey. I like YU. Of course, I love our crew. Slim Cat, um, Blackberry Jones. Um, a lot of people. Even Drew. Even Drew. Drew's in there. Drew Kid. Drew Kid is dope. You should listen to Drew Kid. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of SB methods. There's a lot of um, talented people. I've been listen to a lot of old Infinite Loop stuff and the Remains. Yeah, I miss that time. I miss those times, man. Hibernation.
Well,
I
Joey
love
Toothbrush.
hibernation. Huh?
Joey Toothbrush, it's been a pleasure having you. You've been the guest on Fresh Convos. You survived Fresh Convos with the host, C Popular, aka Arzedio Hall, aka Smelter Cronkite. But where can the people find you? And tell them what's next.
Uh, they can find me on JOEYTOOFRESHtagram, on IG. Joey Too Fresh, I guess on Facebook, or my government name. It's my government name's on there, Joseph Villaroman. Um, you can find me on the Amphbns, IG or Facebook. And thank you, man. This is great. I hope
Indeed.
I gave you guys like a lot of information, good information, and stuff like that. And
I'm just glad we worked out the technical difficulties and we were able to have this interview. So thank
yes,
you again.
definitely. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Seed. And peace to everybody in the chat. We'll see
All
you.
right. Thank you.
All right.
Peace.